It is March the 29th, 2019, and we're out here in the sugar bush. The trees have been running about a week now, but actually today is perhaps the best running day we've seen. So we've got a new system this year. We've got a tubing system, pipeline system with 3/16" tubing with about 240 trees out on this relatively flat ground that we've got out here in the bush. And to create the vacuum, we have a solar powered vacuum pump system. So I want to show that to you today. So here we are in the sugar bush. You can see some of the 3/16" tubing snaking through the woods. You can see the solar panels which power the vacuum pump. And it's a beautiful day here today. It's sunny. Got down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit last night, and it is right now around 37. I think projected highs are about 40 today, so perfect maple sap gathering weather. And all 9 lines come into this central gathering point. So in the 50-gallon tote on the top is our vacuum pump system. We've got that sitting on a piece of plywood over a 144-gallon tank. And as we look in here today, you can see how much sap we've got coming out of that hose. We've got pretty good flow. Right now in the tank we've got probably 40 gallons. We'll probably end up with over 100 today. So here is our system. So it runs off a 12-volt deep cycle battery, and the battery is charged through those 3 solar panels, and there's 280 watt and 100 watts, so we got 260 watts of power, and that seems to be plenty to keep the battery charged up. The power comes in through this solar controller here, and keeps the battery charged. You can see right now we've got 17.7 volts, 6.8 amps coming in from the panel. The battery's at 13.9. It's currently charging. It's almost 99% charged. That's the temperature. Load to the pump is drawing 1.2 amps. So the power comes out of this solar controller. Some of it goes to the battery. The rest of it runs through to this positive and negative bus bar here. So that gives us our 12-volt terminal, if you will. Power then runs through this 30-amp relay. It's an automotive relay to our pump. And this is a SureFlow 4048 pump. It can develop 4 gallons per minute of flow. This is a diaphragm pump, so it tolerates the freeze and thaw that you get in a normal maple season, and it can run dry without burning up the pump. So it's perfect for this application. These are typically used in RVs and boats, but it works great for this. Between the bus bar and our relay, we do have a 15 amp automotive fuse to protect the circuitry, and we have a master on-off switch, so you can turn the whole system off if you need to. And then to make this trouble-free and relatively self-operational, we have this temperature controller here. And this temperature controller is set to turn off at 32 Fahrenheit and on at 33 Fahrenheit. And it sends a signal to the relay here that turns the relay on or off. So this allows the system basically to attend itself. As far as the plumbing goes, we have these 3/16 inch lines coming in, and I don't know if you can see, but we've got flow in each of those lines. You can see the bubbles and sap coming through. And that comes into these star fittings. There's a 3-star fitting here and a 6-star fitting here, so we have 9 lines coming in. It then goes through this 3-way valve. The valve is set now to route the sap through the pump, but you can turn the valve this way and put it on bypass if you're going to leave it for any period of time. You could just put it on bypass. And then it runs through this small strainer, which you really only need early in the season when you have chips coming in out of your tap holes, and through the pump and then into our tank that we looked at. So this is a completely green system. The only thing it needs to function is sunshine. It's perfect if you have flat ground and you're in an area where you don't have any power. This system here can probably handle a few more taps, but I've got 240 on it right now. And over here, you can see I've got a vacuum gauge, and this is fairly close to the pump. You can see we have 20 inches of mercury, almost 21. So it can develop a lot of negative pressure. Towards the end of the day, we'll see this up as high as 25. And I've got our lines coming in, and they're coming into this wire. I've got a tensioner here, and there's this hook on these lines. You can see the hook there, and the hook goes over top of the line, and that just secures the end of the line so that it stays nice and taut. And you can see the other lines coming into the other end of the piece of wire there. All in all, this works very well. Very happy with it so far, and I suspect we're going to have our best productivity ever. In terms of getting the sap back to the boiler, you can see we've got a tap and a hose coming out of that tank. I've got it running to this little 12 volt 350 gallon per hour pump, and through a strainer, and then through a hose up to that 125 gallon tank on the back of the gator. And all we have to do, this is hooked into the same battery, is just turn on the switch, and it just transfers that sap out of our tank, out of our collection tank, into the transfer tank. And I've actually got a little homemade RO unit back at the house, and so we'll run this sap through the RO, take about half the water, maybe 2/3 of the water out of it before we run it into the boiler. Saves a lot on a lot of time and a lot of wood.